in this shit like Will. Now you on me, get you killed. That's a metaphor for the skill. Ain't no metaphor for the real. Under influence of the pill. Majority of rappers on the bill. Bullshit raps I don't feel. Y'all the main course on the meal. Followers be up in the mills. Probably got a house up on the hills. Probably getting a lot of riches, a lot of whips, and I can barely manage how to pay the bills. But I still be up in the studio. And my son eating good, so nutritional. Wish I could follow suit, but I tell it to the crew. So I gotta eat these rappers, I just let them know.
Everybody know me. 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 Everybody know me.
Yeah, what is going on, everybody? It is yours truly, the Ace, here with my guy NFE from the Strike Zone for another episode of the series finale, episode 10. NFE, how you doing, my guy?
Doing good. Not happy about this sweep, but I'm doing good.
That was a disgusting display that we just saw from the entire weekend, and we're going to talk about it. I'm like, you and I both called the live stream. And it was just one of those things, man, where it just felt like the Yankees didn't show up. And this is 3 straight weekends in a row. Dodgers once, Red Sox twice, where the Yankees just don't show up in these games that matter. It seems like it matters more to the fans. And I know that's not the case, right? Because these players want to go out there and play. But it really does seem like sometimes it matters more to us because, like, we care about the rivalries and we care about what just happened. You know what I'm saying? In the World Series, and the Yankees just go there and just completely lay down. But we're going to talk about it. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure you guys hit that like. If you guys are new to the channel, first things first, welcome to the Ace Avenue. Here with my guy, NFE. Another episode of the series finale. Hit that like, hit that subscribe to both channels. NFE's channel is pinned down in the description below, so go over there, give him subscribe as he's on the road to 1,700. Parker, thank you for popping in. Desiree, our boy Jason Custodio. This is exactly what I said in the live stream. We got sun today on Father's Day weekend. We really did. We got smacked, and we're gonna hear you talk about it. Usually we do the game recaps, but it's gonna be a pretty easy one. The bats didn't show up at all this weekend. 4 runs total, the complete 180 to what we saw the previous weekend where both teams scored over 20 runs. The pitching really dominated this weekend, and the Yankees didn't lead at all this series. Not a single lead in this entire series, and got absolutely embarrassed. What were your thoughts, NFE?
Dude, it was. I'm not going to even say nothing about the pitching. I mean, the pitching did their job as far as I'm concerned. It was the bats. The bats did absolutely nothing. I just feel like it was just there was the approach was the same all 3 games. You know, the approach was just get a hit, out, swing for the fences. There was like no small ball. You know, their best chance to win was really on Friday. But they lost in extra innings, and I always get worried when the Yankees go into extra innings, especially on the road, because on the road they suck in extra innings. I don't know if you've seen the record; they're like 12-25. But you know, like Custodio said, I was saying it all game. Max Fried did everything he possibly could to keep this team in the game, but it's just like the bats just wasted a start. And I hate when they don't give the pitchers run support when they're pitching a good game like Fried did today. I mean, hell, even Yarbrough pitched. He didn't pitch too bad. He kept it a 1-0 game in that series, you know. But Yankees bats just couldn't get none going. And same thing with Rodon. I could only blame Rodon for so long, you know, for so much, because it's like he could only do so much. After a while, that puts a lot of pressure on a pitcher, and you know. The pitching was fine. Like I said, the pitching did fine this weekend. Even the bullpen did everything they possibly could to keep this team in the game. But the story in this series was the bats and how terrible they were.
Yep. Another loss to the AL East too. The Yankees are now 8-11 versus the AL East this year.
Yeah.
So, in a division that is weaker, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get it twisted. This loss was this weekend series sweep was absolutely frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is probably because, the Red Sox are the rivalry to the New York Yankees. No doubt you want to go out there and put on a good performance. But to lay down the way this Yankee offense laid down was absolutely embarrassing. Like I said, I think the Yankees embarrassed themselves this weekend. How will they respond? We're going to have to wait and see. We're getting some reinforcements back with Giancarlo Stanton. We definitely could have used his bat over this weekend because it seemed like nobody outside of the late inning heroics by Aaron Judge, which Judge struck out 9 times and hit to a big double play as well. That, you can't go without saying that. He did hit a big home run in the 9th inning, but for not, because we ended up losing in extra innings like you had alluded to. Saturday's game, the Yankee offense didn't show up until the last inning. Can't continue to do that throughout the course of the year, and we didn't even show up today. So the bats are definitely the reason we lost this game, if you're going to point the finger at anything. Yeah, it's just that, dude, they were a complete no-show realistically, and it sucks because, like, the Red Sox are a team that the Red Sox aren't good this year. They're not. But we breathed life into them with this series because now we've only won 1 of the 6 games, and now you look up and they're about 6.5 out when they were about 10 before we even started playing them. So you're in a position, So we get swept by them. Too many miscues on the base path defensively as well. Like, fundamentally, this series felt like the Yankees were not focused at all. We saw Jason Dominguez get thrown out. Jason Dominguez and Ben Rice both get thrown out at second base with their runners in scoring position, and they find themselves getting thrown out on the base path. Not once, but twice by both of them. We saw Trent Grisham get hit to him that should have been a single. It got turned into a double. Fundamentally, the Yankees were not sound this series, and that's what kind of did us in the postseason, and it sucks that it had to rear its ugly head in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just at a loss for words, man. Like the whole series, I was just at a loss for words. The bats just looked cold. It just kind of reminded me of that. I mentioned in the live stream that scene from Space Jam where the ball players get their powers taken away. All of a sudden, they start throwing balls to the sky. They forget how to shoot. Yankees bats, it just seems like something just their force just got taken away, and they all of a sudden forgot how to hit. Or how to score runs. It's like they were getting some hits. It was great. It was nice to see, but those hits were just not scoring. Were not turning into runs. It wasn't translating. So, overall, just the bats were just not executing on the opportunities that were given to them. So it's just the approach to the series was bad. The Red Sox were just prepared. That's what it was. They had a game plan. They got ready. I don't think the Yankees came in. I mean, they came in with a game plan, but it was a poor execution overall. So I'm just attacking the bats, man. I'm just attacking the bats. So
that's the only attacking that the bats did this weekend because they didn't do shit this weekend, bro.
Well,
like, the pitching did its job. Like, to people that wants to say, like, Rodon, you can't really blame Rodon. You can't blame Yarborough. You can't blame, dude, you didn't get any run support at all. The bats, dude, we hit 4 runs in one series in 3 games, including a shutout to end the series. It felt like they didn't show up. And that's exactly what happened. They didn't show up. Aaron Judge, a lot of people were like, this team goes as he goes. And, I beg to differ at times. I'm like, no, because this team is deeper. But then when Judge goes 0 for 9 with 9 strikeouts, you can't, the Yankees are unable to overcome that. And, you got guys that aren't hitting, like, and they're not getting, and when you're not hitting, the last thing you could do is afford to get thrown out on the base path. Like, not to make, like, it, dude, I'm frustrated. Like I said, I'm frustrated. But this goes to show you that baseball is a game of inches. How many times this series did we see the ball, whether it was Volpe or not even a ball, Volpe sliding the third, the DJ LeMahieu ball hits the line or doesn't hit the line. The next game, Red Sox lead with a double that looked foul to me, but they didn't challenge it. Rafael Devers hits a home run barely over the wall. It's like inches here or there, but it all went against the Yankees this entire series, and it was just doomed from the start. The Yankees just couldn't overcome things at all this entire series, and the bats are mostly to blame. Red Sox, and I hate losing to the Red Sox. I really do. I really hate losing to these dudes. And as of right now, like, Yankees do have as Chris Kirshner just posted, Yankees have the worst record against AL teams. Red Sox are 15-11, Rays are 10-9, Orioles 8-8, Blue Jays are 10-12, and Yankees are 8-11. They're taking they're not taking these games that serious, and it feels like at the end of the day. Like, and fundamentally, like, I'm not putting a lot of blame on Aaron Boone, but fundamentally, man, you got to get these guys more focused. Like, I'm not sitting here saying, like, they got to perform, but when you get thrown out at second twice, that's one time is forgivable, but twice is inexcusable. So the Yankees, rough outing to show this weekend. How are they going to respond? We're going to have to wait and see it against this A series, and it doesn't get any easier. I mean, our schedule does get easier from this point on, very favorable, but we are playing like 16 games in a row in this stretch, so it is going to be tough. They're going to have to gut it out. Aaron Boone tried to give Aaron Judge a day off. Some people are blaming him in the chat, saying that might have cooled him off. We're only going to have to wait and see, but, on to the next series. But this one sucked, to say the least. That's the only thing I could say. I'm disgusted by this series.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, with the Angels series coming up starting tomorrow, Yankees can bounce back and kind of get back into some sort of form. You know what, man? It's just again, the bats and the fundamentals, it definitely was lacking in this series, which was crazy. But, there's only so much Boone can do, right? I don't know how, again, I don't know, for the record, I don't always agree with Boone's decisions. Yes, I do defend the guy. I do. All right. I do like Boone. I think he does a lot. I think he does things right. There are things that he does right. I just feel like if he was as bad of a manager as he was, I feel like this would be a 4th or 5th place team every single year, just to throw it out there. But there's only so much a manager can do. Yes, they do have a job to do to get these guys focused, but these guys are also getting paid millions to go play the game too. So you're getting paid. You got to go out there, do your job. The assignment. You know what needs to get done. But the Yankees failed their assignment. The bats failed their assignment. I'm not going to even say the Yankees. The Yankees offense specifically failed their assignment. So, they just need to do a better job, particularly with the AL East teams, man. It's just they're definitely getting their asses handed to them by the AL East teams. So, they need to do better. It's really as simple as that. There's no really like secret formula to this. They just need to get back into their focus and be better about their fundamentals. So this was the worst series played by the Yankees thus far. So they've had bad series. I mean, they got swept, but they've had bad series. But this was just bad. It was just like it wasn't even like the bats making things interesting. The bats didn't make anything interesting. It was just bad from the start. So
yeah, man, there was no fight in this team this weekend.
Yeah,
and which sucks because hopefully this doesn't start a trend, right? Because we've seen this Yankee team in the June, July months start struggling, start slumping. You don't have that big of a lead like we once did, because the Rays are kind of right there because the Mets haven't done us any favors either. They're getting swept as well. So it's like, it's kind of on the Yankees. You can't ask these other teams to win games for you. You got to go out there. You got to handle your business. And the Yankees did not handle their business today. They got absolutely embarrassed by one of their biggest rivals. You can't look. I fully understand. Sometimes it feels like the Yankees is just another game to them, because like when you go out there like last week and you throw out like a punt lineup against the Red Sox, it kind of feels like it's just another game. It means more to the Red Sox to come out here and smack us, right, than it does for us to get it going. We've seen too many times in the big game where the New York Yankees do just lay down. It makes me think of last year when we're going against the Mets. You're throwing J.D. Davis out in the cleanup spot. So it's just like you can't just sometimes some of these games are bigger. I understand. Okay, in the grand scheme of things, it is just one game. It is just one series. But some of these games do hold more weight than others do, especially when it comes to the fan base. And sometimes it does feel like the Yankees do not take it as serious as they should. And like their approaches at the plate this series were terrible. Like you're behind the count a lot. Now, granted, you're going against Crochet. Crochet is one of the best pitchers in the league. But there's no reason you shouldn't hit around Dobbins and Bayo. Like Dobbins last week came out talking shit about you. And this is twice that you just let him own you. Like, it just makes you feel like, where's the heart of the team? Like, where's the pinstripe pride? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels like when it comes to these big games, you have none. And it's frustrating to the fans, especially us, like, that call the game every day. Like, dude, we're looking at this team and the writing's on the wall. Like, where is the fight? Like, too many strikeouts, too many double plays. And it's just the Yankees just took it on the chin. We got fully, like, smacked this series.
Yeah, listen. This series was just bad, and I'm looking at the offense once again, man. But I don't think it's like it's not like the Yankees wake up one morning or some mornings and is like, you know what, I don't feel like playing today. I think we just want to go out and lose. I think they're trying. I mean, obviously they're trying to go out and win games. I mean, I don't think they're just giving up and they're just like saying, okay, well, we're not going to play today. We're just gonna punt the game, right? I mean, I know a lot of folks say that Boone will put out punt lineups, but I don't think Boone is trying to go out there and lose games, though. I've never heard of a manager.
No, you're not trying to go out. No.
Yeah,
But you're also not putting your best foot forward either. Like you're just kind of seeing what happens and just expecting guys to kind of like throwing Pablo Reyes out there. Pablo Reyes actually won us a game on the last game that we played. You know what I'm saying? That's his only contribution this year. But these guys are professionals. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, because I don't think these players or the managers of a team wake up and are just like, hey guys, you know what? Just do whatever you want. If you lose, you lose, whatever. I don't feel like winning. Like I don't know about all that. I've never heard of a team or a manager doing that, but which would be silly. But anyway, the overall approach was just there was no. The game plan this series was just the same. The approach to the Red Sox, it just never changed. They never made their adjustments. I think this is where the Yankees sometimes really struggle, is that because they get comfortable because they think, okay, we did this in this series, this game, then we're just gonna continue that approach. But if something is not working, you have to change your approach. But if it's not working, they try to do more of the same. So you know what they say about doing the same thing over and over again, and you get the same results. You know what I mean? So it leads to insanity. But I just think that they need to change. If something is not working, they need to change that approach. But and that's not what they're doing. So we saw that last year too. Because teams make their adjustments. If something's not clicking or if something's not working, teams will make their adjustments, especially when it comes to the Yankees. I feel like sometimes the Yankees aren't doing that enough, and I feel like they need to do a better job of that.
Yeah. Well, like, here's the thing. Like, I'm not gonna go all out and say like. It's just, dude, it's these three series that are big series where the Yankees are kind of just laying down, because everything else, like, they go out there, handle the Guardians, go out there, sweep the Royals. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just when it comes to sometimes, man, like my perspective, man, and you have your perspective, I have mine. Everybody in the chat has their perspective. Sometimes I just think sometimes this team is soft. Like when it comes to the big games, because like you dealt all off season with this Dodgers team going on a nonstop victory tour where they were talking shit about you. As the competitor in me, that lights a fire under my ass. And it just seems like to me sometimes like the fire isn't quite there. Like people want to say motivation. Sometimes the motivation isn't quite there. That's why I do feel like sometimes it is just another game for the Yankees, because we hear Aaron Boone talk about it. He's actually doing a press conference right now, and I'm interested to see what he says. But a lot of times Aaron Boone's on there like, we didn't do what we have to do. We'll get him tomorrow. Like, no, it's like it shows some sort of urgency in these bigger games. Like, because Dodgers are a team that you might have to run against anyway. The Red Sox are far out of it, but you don't know if this is going to wake them up, and you might see this type of team in the postseason, and now they have the psychological edge over you. So it just does seem like sometimes this team is a little soft at times, especially like I said, the big games you're playing, you're going out there and laying down. You got the Dodgers talking shit about you. You got the Red Sox talking shit about you, and you're just like, oh, okay, just another game to us. Like, no, sometimes it is. You got to show a little bit more urgency, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they do need to be a little bit more assertive in some of these games. I feel like sometimes they play it a little too conservative, or try to play it a little too safe. Sometimes you just got to go out there and you got to go out there and be a little bit more assertive. Take a little bit more risk. I just feel like they're too careful at times. I feel like if you just take a little bit more risk and trust your guys, I think this team could win. They could win games like this. They could be a little bit more gutsy. I guess that's the word right there, is just be a little bit more gutsy in some of these games. I just feel like they're a little bit too conservative, and it's okay to be conservative, but sometimes you got to just somewhere you got to just say, okay, you know what, we're going to take a risk here, but it's got to be calculated. You know what I mean? It's got to be a calculated risk. It can't be a sloppy risk.
Yeah. I don't normally do this, but I do want to hear. Let's
go for it, man. Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Like I said, I don't normally do this because I don't want to get any like copyrights or anything like that. But let's just go ahead and run it and see what he says, and let's give our thoughts on it.
Sure.
Concerning.
Can you hear it?
I could hear it. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't put it that.
How concerning is it still, though, getting swept by this team here?
Concerning, I wouldn't put it that way. I would just say, you always want to, especially when you're playing the Red Sox, you always want to put your best foot forward. And, they took us down this weekend, back-to-back weekends. So you hate that, but we have a really good club, and, just didn't play our best here this weekend. Obviously had a hard time, putting runs on the board. I thought, overall, I thought we pitched pretty well and did enough run prevention wise to keep them, in check to hopefully win some games, but we just didn't get much going.
You talked about.
All right, him saying it's not concerning. Dude, we didn't show up. He's right with the pitching though. The pitching definitely, did its job, but like me and you were talking about, the bats have, totally dropped the ball. Is it concerning? Yeah, for this series, but it's only concerning if it's a trend, if it continues to be like this. Then we're going to ask some questions if the bats continue like this, because this is 4 games in a row that the Yankee bats haven't shown up, because we did beat the Royals 1-0. The bats did struggle there, and this is, 3 games versus the Red Sox. So a small trend, but nothing to really overreact about, but I'm not overly concerned. What about you? You're muted. Are you? Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
Very good. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay.
Him saying he's not overly concerned, but what is the context on it? Like, what is he trying to say? Because is he trying to say because it's still early in the season that he's not concerned? Is he going to be concerned if it continues being this way? Like, if they continue losing games like this, then is he going to be concerned? Is he still saying that it's still early in the season? Because there's still a long way to go. It's June 15th. We're not even halfway through the season. So I'm just trying to, I just want to try and read in between the lines, because sometimes words can be used out of context and it could be twisted. So, him saying he's not overly concerned, I was concerned. Maybe he's not overly concerned overall because, the Yankees are still in first place, and, they haven't been consistently this bad. Again, but if it becomes a trend, though, if they continue playing like this, then you better be concerned. I know I would be, but he was absolutely right about that. The pitching did well, and they kept the team in the game. He wasn't wrong about that, because he was absolutely right about that, and he knows the bats didn't come through. So, Boone is not going to give ammo to the media, especially New York media. So he's always going to be vague with his answers, as honestly, you need to be vague. And you'll just have that conversation with your team privately. And then, who knows what those conversations are, because we don't have access to that. So,
yeah. like Raziel was saying, Raziel said he is concerned because we do have a history of collapsing around this time. The last couple of years has been the trend where June and July come around and the Yankees do start to falter. I think it'll be different this year because our schedule is a lot more favorable. I did go over it in a live stream. Like, we kind of went through the hard part of the schedule, and from this part on, we got a couple of teams sprinkled in here and there, but the Yankees do have a tendency to play down to the competition. You got to get right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to, like, I'm not saying we're in the wrong because we're still one of the best teams in the league. This, you know, depending on how the rest of this year, you know, plays out, this could be a minor speed bump, but you just can't let it build on. You got to go out there. You got to handle your business. You mess around and lose 3 out of 4 to the Angels, then I'm going to have a problem. Then it's compiling on. You know what I'm saying? And then next week you go against the Orioles, who are a bad team as well. You go out there and lose to them, then it's starting to become a trend and a problem. And then you don't want to end the month that way. We're going to have to, you know, I don't think it's going to be like years past because of our schedule, and we're getting guys back. Like Giancarlo Stanton should be back, but this Yankee team just got to play better. Look, at the end of the day, it is one series, but it's a frustrating series, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, if it starts to be a thing where they get into this major slump, now teams get into the slump, but if it looks a little bit like what it did last season, remember when they kind of had that bad July and August?
500 in July.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it starts turning into that, then, you know, you better be concerned, man. You better be concerned. So you better start you know, acting on it, because hopefully the Yankees don't hit into that again. I know Yankees and other teams in baseball, they always hit their slumps. It happens after a 162 game season. It's a long freaking season. So at some point you are going to slump, and maybe they could see a slump here, right? Because they're on that long stretch of games. They don't have a day off till the 26th, I believe, of June. So, you know, they got another.
Schedule makers did not do us any favors this year.
Well, yeah, you know what, man? They haven't, and it's just like another 11 days of baseball. I mean, at some point, man, it's like, you know, these guys, again, yes, they are getting paid their millions. They're getting paid to play the game, but they are still human. So, you know, at some point, it's just.
The schedule makers are like, y'all just had 2 West Coast trips in a month. Here's 16 games in a row. Like, damn, man. Like, and no wonder Aaron Boone tried to give some of the guys a day off. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, that is grueling. It is very taxing. But
it's a stretch, man.
Let's get back to what Boone was saying.
Some of the pitching they faced this series, and when they've struggled a little bit offensively, do you put Bello in the same category there? Or are you okay with the approaches today?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had a couple opportunities there, make a mistake on the bases. We started to kind of move his pitch count up, and he was pretty efficient the first 2 innings, and we just couldn't really string together that rally. And obviously they did a pretty good job of keeping us in the ballpark. So just, you know, a little bit of a struggle for us, you know, offensively this weekend.
3rd straight game with a base running blunder. Just what do you make of that overall?
What was the other blunders?
You had, Volpe got thrown out at third and extras.
Volpe's, that's not a blunder. That's a play in the game that we were out.
And you had Dominguez yesterday.
Dominguez, lost track of strikes. And then today, you know,
you gotta like how Boone, you see the intensity in Boone's eyes though. When you talk about Volpe, he's like, what? That's not a blunder. Boone is a player's coach. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I keep, you know, I'll say this over and over again. I mean, we may have everybody's going to have mixed feelings about Aaron Boone, but at the end of the day, if he's getting the backing from the organization, if the players are coming out and saying that they support their guy, and if guys like Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge are coming out and saying, yeah, we support Aaron Boone and we got his back, you know, not to say our opinions don't matter, but our opinions don't matter at that point. I mean, we could have our opinions, but you know, when Judge speaks, it's his words over ours. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's but you know, it's not like I mean, it's not like what Boone. I mean, if what Boone is saying right here, though, I mean, everything that he said up to this point, he's not lying about anything. I mean, he's not saying anything wrong. I mean, he's speaking truth so far.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Benny's pretty adept at picking his spots there. Obviously, with 2 outs there, we got the trail runner coming, but we got to be more certain than that. That's a play where, you know, we can't get caught like that, you know, on a pickoff play there. So that one obviously, you know, stung us a little bit today, especially when we had a little rally going.
Yeah, that's true. Because and this comes down to being more fundamentally focused. Because that's twice, man, where we had rallies going. You have 2 runners on, and one of the runners in scoring position, and you're picking the runner off on the base path, and sloppy mistakes, and those are momentum building things at the end of the day. It's all about trying to grasp momentum and keep it. And in a situation, especially with Dominguez, we had just scored 2 runs, so it's like now you kind of got them on edge. And then to get picked off is a little bit inexcusable. But, I'm not going to act like a couple of blunders in a series means this team is, unfundamentally sound, because all year we've seen great play. As opposed to last year's team, this team is more fundamentally fine-tuned. But in a couple of big moments against big teams is when they kind of falter. And obviously that's where the concern comes with people when people think about the playoffs, because you're going to be facing these big teams. You can't afford to have mental miscues when it comes to that, but it's stuff that they got to learn from. We got a lot of season left to go, and they're going to have to clean it up.
Yeah, I mean they're losing some games against you mentioned Dodgers in this case now the Red Sox, but last season they were losing some really simple games against smaller teams. They were losing against teams that they should have been beating, but they've lost a lot of simple games last season. So I think this year though, I mean, I think their overall it's just their approach is a lot better. And keep in mind, man, this is a team that's in first place with an incomplete roster, still, so I think this team will be better. Obviously, when Giancarlo gets back, I think he's going to add a big threat to that lineup. So it's going to make that lineup a lot better. And then, I'm not going to get into the trade deadline conversation just yet, but it's clear that I think they definitely need another bat in there, particularly a right-handed bat. So hopefully they do make that happen, and then a couple of bullpen arms. So even though the bullpen, granted this series, I mean they still looked really good, even with an incomplete bullpen. But Yankees are going to have to get a couple. They're going to have to get a couple of arms for that bullpen as well.
Dude, I'm also thinking a starter too, because we heard the reports that Luis Hill might not be back till August. So
when did that report come out?
I believe it was It was either Brian Hoke or Kirshner that said late July, August for Luis Hill, because he's going to start throwing.
Yeah, he's going to start throwing here in the next 10 to 14 days before he starts.
They expect him back they expect him back with the club late July, early August is what they were saying. I'm trying to look for the exact tweet from either Kirshner.
Was that today?
No, I think I might have retweeted it. It might have been Brian Hoke. Let me see.
Yeah, I thought I read that he was 10 to 14 days away from facing live batting. And then all right, here it is. Brian Hoke, 22 hours ago, which was almost which was yesterday. Luis Hill's about 10 to 14 days away from facing hitters. Aaron Boone said doing the math that sets him up for a post All-Star break return, possibly late July or sometime in August. Okay.
So if that's the case, you need to go get another pitcher. You need to go get another starting pitcher for now. So something. I mean, you do have Marcus Stroman coming back. That's not really saying much. Hopefully he can work out of the bullpen, but I don't know. The Yankees at the end of the day, this sucks, no doubt. This series sucked, but it doesn't mean that hopefully it's not a trend and they can go ahead and start getting it right, because this team still is one of the better teams in the league. Everybody gets swept. The Dodgers got swept by the Angels. You know what I'm saying? It just sucks because we got swept by the Red Sox.
Yeah.
That's really why it sucks the most. But we're gonna see the fortitude on the New York Yankees. Do they have the balls to start bouncing back, or is this gonna be a trend in the wrong direction? And it starts tomorrow. Luckily, there's no off day for them to really think about it. You got to get right back going, home cooking, going to New York for 7 games, and hopefully you get right there. But you got to handle your business versus the Angels and the Orioles. It's as simple as that. Get back into winning ways. But that's about it for the show today, though. We just made it a little untraditional. Just had a conversation. I appreciate my guy NFE as always for popping on. not much to really talk about. You know, the Yankees, we would just be going over and over at this point.
Right.
But I do appreciate you for coming on. Anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here? And what up to Yankee Mania?
What's up, Joe? Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Just make sure you guys continue supporting Ace. Does a really good job here as always. So it's always a pleasure
And
jumping
NFE.
on. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, it's always a pleasure jumping on with you and and doing these series finales and once and then the occasional shows that we do together sometimes when we collab. So I'm glad we met, man. So I love working with you.
Yeah, man, appreciate that. And most importantly, happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
Yes.
To all the fathers, father figures, soon to be fathers, heavenly fathers. This day goes out to you guys. Make sure you guys enjoy it. Have yourselves a nice steak, medium rare, of course.
Of
we
course.
know that is if Jason Custodio is listening. What does he like? How does he like his steak?
He likes his steak medium well, and that's how the Yankees played this series.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 'cause they definitely got cooked like they were well done. So
Yeah, for real.
But we do appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe to my guy NFE. It is in the description below. If you guys are watching a rewatch, we both do a live play-by-play. I'm gonna be live tomorrow. Are you gonna be live tomorrow as well?
Yes, I should be live tomorrow. We'll make that happen.
Thank you, Desiree, for all you guys' support. You guys are amazing. My guy NFE is on the road to 1,700 over here. We're trying to get to 3K. So make sure you guys sub up, show that support. We appreciate you guys. Have a good one and happy Father's Day. As always, thank you for tuning into the Ace Avenue. I'm yours truly, the Ace, with my guy NFE from the Strike Zone. Adios.